All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Nick Sorensen and Yannick Gunther have the front row. Roman Berg, Kier McConomy on the second row. Stuart Hare, Simon Zierk have the third row. Rudolf Gunther, Wessel Stevens on the fourth row. Harry Volsmir, Suleiman Cohen rounding out the field. Jason, it definitely could be interesting. Some of the lap times throughout practice, throughout qualifying, were very, very close this morning. Now we are in for quite a battle. And folks, don't forget, NSS is a doubleheader morning, and we're going to extend that even further shortly after the NSS race. Home Motorsports will be on track for their GT3 season finale from Watkins Glen. And you definitely want to tune in for that because it's a combined GT3 and GT4 championship. And positions still on the line, so the next 3 Sundays will determine the championships for both divisions and overall. And Nick Sorensen, having pretty much locked up the NSS championship here, looking to come out in dominant fashion. I think there is mathematically a very, very slight chance Rudolf Gunther could pull off the championship, but the fact is, Rudolf needs a much bigger field both this week and next week to pull it off. And if Sorensen gets a good finish today, it is over. And we did notice Wessel Stevens did pull over his drop to the tail. Wessel and his Lambo have been fast all season. Can he get from the back to victory lane, or will Nick take off and dominate it? Here we go. Porsche pace car is in. Sorensen can fire at any moment. They stack back up. Nick fires. They are underway. And the green flag flies at the Nürburgring Grand Prix. They head into that very, very sharp turn 1. Often see a bit of chaos here, but everybody makes it through. Harry Volsmir already on the attack. Wessel already picking up 1 spot. Yannick Gunther, Yannick is blinking. He may have lost connection. Well, we've got Stuart Hare around behind. All right, Yannick is back for the moment. Stuart Hare is back on track. We'll take a look at the lap 1 incidents here in a few moments. Roman Berg now in 3rd. Kier McConomy in 4th. Simon now up into 5th. Nick Sorensen trying to open up that gap here early. Yannick Gunther currently in 2nd, Roman in 3rd. And everybody taking the corners a little wide. A lot of the drivers, it was a big topic of conversation that iRacing has tightened the track limits here at the Grand Prix circuit, and man, they have to be careful. In race 2, we could very well see multiple drive-throughs due to incident points for off-tracks. Nick Sorensen will lead lap 1 on the Grand Prix circuit. Wessel Stevens, who dropped to the tail off the start, already up to 6th place. Stuart Hare has gone into pit road. Let's see what happened to him on that first lap. All right, there's Stewart in the blue Porsche, just coming out of the turn, a little too much power, snaps around, kisses that tire wall, loses that front clip. Now remember, folks, going into race 2, the top 7 from race 1 will invert. Also worth noting, this will be the first time this season that every driver will get a top 10. Oh, holy cow! Yannick Gunther just had one heck of a hard hit. All right, there's Yannick running in second, clips those rumble strips too hard, loses ground, and wow, he smacked the wall. And a moment later, Wessel, who's been on the attack, just overshoots on the brakes too hard, spins around. Wow, Wessel was marching his way up through the field. Remember, he pulled over on the on the warm-up lap, rather. Dropped back to 10th place. Had already fought his way up to 6th, but is now back in 9th and much further behind. Meanwhile, Nick Sorensen just set the fastest lap so far this morning. It is a nice cool morning in Germany today. Track temperature currently 74, air temperature 66. These drivers definitely loving the extra grip from the cooler track. Roman Berg in second, Kieran McConomy in third, Simon Zierk in fourth, Harry Volsmeer now up into fifth. Harry, another one who makes up a lot of ground. If he starts toward the back, he is constantly in attack mode. Rudolf Gunther currently in 6th. Yannick still out on track. Has not gone in yet. But Sorensen's lead back to Roman Berg. Now almost 2.5. Wow, that was close. Roman's gap about 2.5 seconds to the leader, Kieran McConomy, right there with him, as is Simon. And Sorensen set another fast lap. 1:57.48. Sorensen laying down some fast laps and getting faster. Yannick Gunther is in for repairs. Suleiman Khan has quietly been making his way up. Now up into 7th place. He is closing in on 6th place, Rudolf Gunther. Harry Volsmeer now in 5th, also closing in on that 3-car group just ahead. Roman has been able to open up a bit of a gap on Kieran McConomy. We saw how close Kieran was last time by. Sorensen just continues to run away. Simon Zierk and Wessel Stevens have both had problems. All right, there's Wessel trying to make up ground from his earlier incident. Whoa, just a bit wide. But he holds on to it. And a moment later, Simon Zierk battling. Oh, he clipped the grass and then smacked the wall. Harry Volsmere now up into fourth after Simon's incident, and he is closing on the top three, or well, second and third anyway, as Sorensen set another fast lap and now has a 3-second lead over Roman. Keir McEconomy still in third, right on Roman's bumper. Meanwhile, Wessel Stevens back behind at eighth, about 4 1/4 seconds behind Suleiman, but closing in. And it is worth noting, from Suleiman to Roman Berg, just 5 1/4 seconds, still very much a fight. Nick Sorensen has had one heck of a season this season. With 2 races left to go, likely looking at your new champ. If he pulls off the win here, it will lock it up. Especially with Rudolph back in 6th. But almost every points position back behind still up for grabs, as Keir McEconomy just set the fastest lap and the first driver to get under the 157 mark, 156.93. Sorensen's lead continues to grow, now 3.7 seconds over Roman, but Keir is pulling back up to Roman's bumper. Harry just 2 1/4 seconds back and closing. Wessel Stevens continues to gain ground on the cars ahead, now just 3.6 seconds behind Suleiman. And the sun is starting to shine. Likely going to see those track temperatures go up. Could see a bit more sliding around the track. Roman is still holding on to second as Sorensen back on top. Ran a 156.65 that time by. Kieran McConomy, meanwhile, just over a second behind Roman. Harry about 2.4 seconds back. Simon, Rudolph, both right there, as is Suleiman Khan. And Wessel less than 3 seconds back as he continues to gain ground. Meanwhile, Nick Sorensen's gap now 4.2 seconds. Whoa, Simon is around. That'll shake things up yet again. Let's see what happened. There's Simon coming out of the bottom and just goes around, keeps it out of the wall. That could have been a lot worse for Simon. He does slip back into 8th. Wessel now up into 7th, still closing in on Suleiman and Rudolph. Harry in 4th, now closing just over 2 seconds behind Kier and Roman. And meanwhile, Nick Sorensen has a 4.8 second lead. Roman still holding on to 2nd, even putting some breathing room on Kier for the moment. But Harry closing in on both drivers. Stuart Hare did recover from that early incident, is back out on track, but has slipped back into 10th. Wessel currently in 7th at the moment, would start race 2 from the pole. But he is 1.25 seconds behind Suleiman, closing in. Meanwhile, Nick Sorensen once again taking everybody to school with a 5.25 second lead over Roman. And remember, going into race 2, the top 7 will invert. That'll put Sorensen starting in 7th, and right now, that'll put Wessel starting out front. And Wessel has caught up to Suleiman. Wessel has missed 4 weeks of this season, still 9th in points. And based on his performance all season long, it's likely if he hadn't missed so many races, he'd be up battling for the title. Nick continuing to drive away from Roman. Yannick Gunther has had a problem. He has gone to pit road. Yannick coming down the hill. And he just pulls over. Not sure what happened with Yannick. Meanwhile, the battle is on for second between Keir and Roman. Harry not gaining any more ground at the moment. Wessel Stevens now up into sixth. And Suleiman Khan has had a problem. He has got big damage. There's Suleiman as Wessel is close. Holy cow. Looks like Wessel bumped him. Take a look down from the chopper. Looked like Suleiman got on the brakes and Wessel just was able to drive deeper. And Suleiman had one heck of a hard hit. Nick Sorensen way out front. Now 6 1/4 seconds over second place, Roman Berg. Keir McConomy still sits in third, right on the bumper of Roman. And out of the final turn, Sorensen will see the white flag this time. And just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:56.31. Roman in second, Keir McConomy in third, Harry Volsmir in fourth, the biggest mover of the morning at 5 spots. Rudolf Gunther in fifth. Wessel has had a great recovery up to sixth. Simon back in seventh, Suleiman in eighth, Stuart Hare in ninth, Yannick Gunther out early. Sorensen coming around for the final time. Roman still holding on to second, but Keir right on his bumper. And through the final chicane for the final time, Nick Sorensen will get it done once again. He locks up his championship. Nick Sorensen wins at the Nürburgring Grand Prix. Roman Berg comes home in second. Keir McConomy a very close third. Harry Volsmir pulls off fourth. Rudolf Gunther in fifth. Yep, they're celebrating. Let's talk to our top three, starting with Keir. Kier, man, it was quite a battle up there for second.
Yeah, it was. I don't think we were more than a second and a half away from each other the whole 20 minutes, were we, Roman?
No, you definitely weren't. You guys kept getting closer, then spread out, then closer, then spread out. You definitely had one heck of a battle there, and man, you're going to get to start race 2 ahead of him. Can you hold him off?
Oh, that's that could be tricky.
Well, man,
We'll
a heck of a run and a heck of a finish. Congratulations.
Thanks, Doug.
Roman Berg coming home in second. Roman, you managed to hold Kier off for the entire time, but it got close a few times.
I was really pushing. It was pushing me hard. I want to thank the gods of the Ford Mustang.
Those are demons, not gods.
Okay, well, they did me well today. It was the car drove well for me today.
Man, it got spicy a few times around you, some very close calls, but you managed to come through everything clean.
Yeah, I needed those points. Yeah, this is a good race. Kier pushed really hard. It was fun.
Oh, great job, man. You are leading the amateur points by quite a bit, but Suleiman is trying to close in on you.
Yep. Gotta do good on the second one too.
Oh, good luck, man.
Thank you.
And finally, our winner and new champ, Nick Sorensen. Well, Nick, you made it official with that one, man. Congratulations on the win. The championship is locked.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we figured out this morning. Yeah, thanks. A good race this morning. I was able to just get the pole for the qualifying and then keep it out front. So it's a tricky track here. A lot of limits to keep in mind. So let's try and keep it safe on the next one.
The track limits were a big concern for everybody coming into this one. Did you have any problems with it? Didn't look, we saw a lot of guys going wide out of several turns, but didn't look like you had any issues.
No, I didn't really have too many issues. Like I said, I was able to get out front with a little bit of a lead, so I didn't have to push as much. I was just, gauging that to make sure I, stayed ahead.
You know, most people in the final laps, if they've got a big enough gap and they're leading in the points, they would play it safe, but you set the fastest lap of the race coming to the white flag.
It wasn't on purpose. I guess I was just in a good rhythm, sometimes when you try to take it easy, you start missing markers and actually not running as a consistent lap. So, no, I was just driving good as I could.
Well, man, great job, great win. Congratulations on the championship, and good luck in race 2, buddy.
Okay, thanks, Doug.
Hey, good morning, Count. All right, buckle up, folks. In a minute and a half, they will get back on track. Final adjustments to the cars are underway as the drivers prep. Race 2, the top 7 will invert. Nick Sorensen, after winning race 1, will start back in 7th. Wessel Stevens will start out front. I do believe that's going to make for one heck of an interesting race. It's going to get wild here in about a minute, so get ready, folks. And don't forget, right after NSS, we will be hopping over to Watkins Glen, where Home Motorsports will settle their GT3 championship. Count, I've never watched anime, but I might have to check that out. All right, their warm-up is over. Here we go, race to the top 7 invert. There we go. Simon Zierk, Wessel Stevens on the front row. Rudolph Gunther, Harry Volsmer have the second row. Kieran McConomy and Roman Berg on the third row. New champ Nick Sorensen next to Suleiman Khan on the fourth row. Stuart Hare, Yannick Gunther round out the field. We saw Wessel Stevens at the start of race 1 pull off and drop to the tail and was fighting his way forward before a problem sent him back, almost back to the end of the line, then back up to 6th. We'll see just how fast he is in clean air. Whoa! Okay. Let's take a quick look. There's Wessel trying to get the tires warmed up. I think he just overdid it. That was some aggressive tire warming. The pace car is in. Simon is in control. And Simon fires. They are down and away. And the green flag flies at the Nürburgring Grand Prix. Wessel still alongside. Everybody dives it into turn 1. Wessel's around, everybody avoids him. Wessel has not had a good start to this one. Simon Zierk out front. Harry Volsmer now up into 2nd. Rudolph Gunther into 3rd. Kieran McConomy in 4th. Nick Sorensen in 5th. Rudolph right on Harry's back bumper. As Harry tries to, Rudolph tried to make a move to the inside, but he goes around. And Rudolph made a gutsy move down to the inside, but it didn't pay off. Wessel Stevens now way behind, but we saw him make up a lot of ground in race 1. Can he do it again in race 2? And can Rudolph Gunther pull it off? Both drivers losing a lot of ground on lap 1. Yannick Gunther right there between Stuart Hare and Suleiman Khan. And most of this field all within about 5 seconds. And let's take a look at those lap 1 incidents. All right, there's Wessel as he goes off into turn 1. On the power a little too hard, snapping around. And then that gutsy move by Rudolph Gunther. He gets a good run, gets it down low, Harry didn't realize he had gotten to the inside, barely bumps him. One of the gutsiest moves we've ever seen Rudolph try. After the early problems, Simon Zierk still out front. Harry Volsmir now to second. Kieran McConomy in third. Nick Sorensen already up 3 spots into fourth. Roman Berg currently in fifth. Suleiman Khan, Yannick Gunther, and Stuart Hare, 6th, 7th, and 8th, all right there together, and all kicking a little dust up. Rudolph Gunther back into 9th, and Wessel Stevens in 10th. Wessel is closing on everybody. And based on race 1, we really thought Wessel starting up front would take off and just dominate, but that turn 1, losing the back end, was a huge setback. Jonas, I'll have to remember that nickname. Rudolph Gunther does have the fastest lap so far. Wessel, though, right there in striking distance. Both of them are closing in on the field ahead. Harry Volsmir currently in second, now right on Simon's bumper. Nick Sorensen, the new champ, right there on the bumper of third place, Kieran McConomy. And remember, Sorensen set the fastest lap of race 1, coming to the white flag. He has definitely got it all figured out this morning. Meanwhile, Rudolph Gunther and Wessel Stevens continue to close in on the field ahead. Despite their early problems, both of them on a big charge. And Harry has taken the lead. Simon currently in second, but he has Kier and Sorensen right there on him. Wessel Stevens did set the fastest lap so far, 157.04. Track temp and air temp still very cool. That cloud cover keeping the temps down and allowing these guys to push even harder. Harry now has the lead. Can he pull away from the fights behind? And looks like Roman blinking a little bit. Suleiman right behind him. Rudolph Gunther, Wessel Stevens have both caught up to Stuart Hare. And Wessel's going to try and make the move. He does. Wessel just sends it deep into the turn, makes it stick, and takes ninth. Now sets his sights on Stewart and the rest of the field. Top four pretty much nose to tail. Stewart has picked up a slowdown coming through the chicane. Rudolph Gunther trying to take advantage of that slowdown. Can he get the spot? Rudolph sends it deep into turn. Wow, that was a gutsy move. Cutting that turn just like that, he takes it. Wessel now closing the gap on Yannick, less than 2 seconds behind. Meanwhile, Harry out front has about a 1.3 second lead at the moment. Kieran McConomy, excuse me, still holding on to third with new champ Nick Sorensen on his bumper. Wessel now less than 2 seconds behind Yannick and Suleiman. Suleiman less than a second behind Roman. Roman likely has a little bit of an advantage on the straights. But those Porsches do corner exceedingly well. Harry Volsmir continues to pull away as second, third, and fourth nose to tail. Kier looked to the inside on Simon. Nick looks to the outside on Kier. Now he's got the inside line. Can he get the position? And Kier holds him off for the moment. That did bring Roman Berg and Suleiman Cohen even closer. Yannick Gunther coming with them. Wessel Stevens now just 1.9 seconds back in closing. Harry trying to extend that lead, now 1.9 seconds over Simon. Folks, don't forget, after this one, we do have a special event this morning, Home Motorsports GT3 Series, the GT3 season finale from Watkins Glen. And Kier is looking for second on Simon. Sorensen staying right on his bumper into the chicane. Simon holds him off. The more this group battles, the further away Harry gets. His lead now almost 3 seconds. And they bring Yannick, Wessel, and Rudolph even closer. Stuart Hare is closing in on Rudolph once again. And Wessel once again sets the fastest lap. And the first lap in race 2 under the 157 mark. Harry's lead continuing to grow 3.3 seconds as the battle for second on back continues to heat up. From second back to eighth is less than 4 seconds, and every moment that gap is getting smaller. One mistake, one battle too long. Oh, Suleiman and Yannick have had problems behind. Suleiman is going to pit road. Let's see what happened. There is Suleiman in the red Porsche. Oh, Yannick looked to the inside. They had contact, and Suleiman gets the tires. Looking down from the chopper. Yannick got a big run into the turn, but pushed out into Suleiman's quarter panel and sends him to the tires. And Suleiman was gaining ground there. That is heartbreaking. Simon still holding on to second, Kier in third, Nick in fourth. Roman back in fifth, Wessel now up into sixth, and he is closing on Roman. Despite that lap one, turn one incident for Wessel, I don't think he is out of the fight for the win yet. Harry Volsmir out front by 3.3 seconds, cannot afford to make any mistakes, with Wessel and Nick flying around here as quickly as they are. And Nick has a run, shoots down to the inside through the kink. Kier has the advantage going into the chicane. Sorensen outbreaks him. Nick now up into third. Wessel Stevens having just taken fifth from Roman, now closing in as well. And Harry Volsmir is loving this fight behind him. His lead now 3.8 seconds and growing. Wessel now in fifth, 1.5 seconds out of that battle ahead. Oh, Simon's in the wall. All right, looking down from the chopper is Simon Zier, who is running in second. Looks like too much of the sausages as he came out of the turn. Snaps loose into the tire wall and goes from second to eighth. Nick Sorensen now in second, Kier McConomy in third, Wessel up to fourth, and Wessel closing in. Roman still holding on to fifth, Yannick in sixth, Rudolph in seventh, Simon holding on to eighth, but he has Stewart in ninth, and Suleiman officially out of the race. Wessel just set the fastest lap so far, 156.48. And that is a half a second faster than Nick Sorensen's fast lap. Oh! Kier is around. Wessel is stopped. That is a huge setback for both. Yannick has also had a problem. All right, there's Wessel. He gets on the power. Oh, just barely taps Kier. Sends him around, but oh, Yannick can't avoid it. Wow, what a change that was. Gotta hand it to Wessel, though. We see this sportsmanship out of this group all the time. Wessel stopped to let Kier recover. And Yannick did end up towing it in. Wessel now drops back to fifth, almost 15 seconds out of the lead. Meanwhile, Nick Sorensen in second, about 2.9 seconds behind Harry and closing. Kier McConomy is in. We'll see if he changes tires, or will this be his fuel stop only? Well, he ended up towing it down pit road. They can go the distance from here on fuel. They do have to make a fuel stop this morning. Meanwhile, in second, Nick Sorensen continuing to close in on the leader. Now less than 2.5 seconds behind Harry. Roman Berg now up into third, Rudolph in fourth, Wessel in fifth. Simon in sixth, Stuart Hare just avoids chaos. He has moved up into seventh and is closing in on Simon. And looks like Yannick Gunther is out of the race. Did not expect this to be a battle of attrition, but here we are. Despite the tight track limits this morning, very few drivers have scored an off-track. Rudolph Gunther and Wessel Stevens both have, but official off-track so far, they're the only two. Harry is pushing that car to its limit because Sorensen is closing in. Wessel ain't done yet. Wessel currently sits in fifth and is right on Rudolph's bumper. And man, that Lambo has been flying around here this morning. Wawa, it looks looks like 156.48. Wessel Stevens said it a couple laps ago as Wessel takes fourth. Wessel now sets his sights on Roman Berg about 4.8 seconds ahead. Meanwhile, the top two, Harry still has the lead, but Sorensen 2.3 seconds back, continuing to close in. Kieran McConomy is back out on track, currently in 8th. Wouldn't count anybody out just yet, though. We've seen quite a few surprises in the early laps of this one. Stuart Hare now in 7th, continues to try and reel Simon in 6th. Simon is closing in on 5th place, Rudolf Gunther. Wessel now in 4th, about 5 seconds behind Roman. Nick Sorensen about 7.9 seconds ahead of Roman, but more importantly, 1.8 seconds behind Harry. Nick is closing rapidly. We saw the sun come out earlier, but we are back to cloud cover. And the track is actually cooled off, now down to 70 degrees. Now we may see even faster laps before it's all said and done. Remember, Nick Sorensen set his fastest lap in race 1, coming to the white flag. And we know Harry can pull out a fast lap pretty much anytime he wants. Meanwhile, Wessel back in 4th, now just 4 seconds behind Roman. Rudolf Gunther in 5th is trying to hold on to 5th, but Simon is closing in on him. Stuart Hare lost some ground to Simon the last couple laps, now about 3.1 seconds back. And at the moment, the two fastest cars on track are Nick Sorensen and Wessel Stevens. And Sorensen now just 1.4 seconds behind the leader. Nick continuing to close in on Harry. Past the halfway point, nobody has come in for their fuel stop yet. Last week we saw a lot of drivers pitting before the halfway point. This week it does appear everybody's going to stretch it. I spoke too soon. Simon Zierk is in. With these track temperatures and the way these guys are driving, we're likely to see fuel only on all these stops. And it does look like fuel only for Simon. Harry's lead continuing to shrink. Nick just over a second behind. Wessel back and forth, now just 2.7 seconds behind Roman. Nick comes through the kink about 0.8 of a second behind. Wow, they are hitting the bumps through the chicane awfully hard. Considering some of the parts of the track they've hit a little too hard earlier have caused a bit of chaos. Wessel continuing to reel in Roman Berg. Rudolph Gunther still in 5th. Stewart now back in 6th. Simon in 7th. Back on track, Kieran McConomy in 8th. Yannick Gunther, Sil McCollum both had problems early, out early. Folks, don't forget, right after this, we'll hop to Watkins Glen for Home Motorsports. And tonight at 9:30 Eastern, SMR X Series back on track. Just looking at the times, that Wessel Stevens currently faster than everybody on track. He is about 12 seconds behind that lead battle at the moment. But if these two have a protracted battle, Wessel and Roman likely to close in. And Sorensen is coming in. Harry stays out. Nick's going to try a little strategy, making that stop early. Likely going to be fuel only for the champ as well. Nope, the car does not go up. It'll be fuel only. Wessel in 3rd now has closed the gap on Roman to 1 1/4 seconds. Harry continues to lead, and now a little breathing room since Sorensen is pitted. Nick back in 6th, now sets his sights on picking up a lot of extra ground. He's got clean air for a bit and can really push that Porsche to its limit. Now the question is, when do the rest of the field come in? And Harry is going to bring it in. Roman Berg is coming in, as is Wessel Stevens. Rudolph Gunther heads in as well. Likely to see Stewart ducking in here. Yep. And now is Sorensen's opportunity. Can he take the lead from Harry? Harry is in his pit stall. Fuel only for everybody. Harry's rolling. Sorensen has the big run coming down the front stretch. But Harry comes out ahead. Roman holds on to third. Wessel comes out in fourth. Rudolph in fifth. Wessel, despite how much ground he had made up on track, lost a bunch of time on pit road. Most of the field was 35 to 36 seconds total on pit road. Wessel was on pit road for a full 40 seconds. And weirdly, his overall stop was less than a second slower than Nick Sorensen's. Looked like Wessel just had a slower entry and exit onto pit road. And it has cost him dearly. He's now 4.5 seconds behind Roman. Harry Volsmir had a much quicker pit stop than Sorensen did. Harry was about a second and a half faster on and off pit road. Nick now 3.1 seconds back. And he's going to be fighting to make up some ground here. Meanwhile, Harry is out front with just under a 3-second lead with 13.5 minutes to go. Harry may very well be able to hold Sorensen off. Roman in third, Wessel now in fourth. Wessel about 5.8 seconds back. Rudolph Gunther in fifth, 4.7 seconds behind Wessel, and he is closing in on Wessel Stevens. Simon in sixth, also closing in on Rudolph. And Wessel has just taken third after Roman had a problem. Roman, let's see what happened. Coming out of the horseshoe on the power, slides it into the fence. Does get it recovered, but not before losing third. Harry's lead about 2.3 seconds. Sorensen definitely closing. Wessel now in third, 15 seconds behind him. Rowan in fourth, 4.7 seconds back. Rudolph closing in, and Simon still closing in behind Rudolph. And Harry's lead is shrinking rapidly. Nick is flying. Nick now 1.6 seconds back, and Wessel has had a problem. He's gone to pit road. There's Wessel continuing to march forward. The back end just steps out on him. Taking a look at this one from overhead, we know Wessel has pushed that Lambo to its limit. Slides it through into the sand. Wessel did tow it to pit road. His chances have ended. And he is officially out of the race. And what a gut punch. Wessel had been charging all race long. Speaking of charging, Harry Volsmir had a 4-second lead after pit stops. Sorensen has knocked it down to 1. Sorensen continues to inch closer to Harry. Roman back in third. Rudolf Gunther in fourth, less than 2 seconds behind. Simon in fifth, just over 2 seconds behind him. Stuart Hare has kept it clean all morning. He is up to 6th. Keir McConomy, despite his earlier incident, now up to 7th and is closing in on Stewart. He's 42 seconds behind. I doubt he'll get there, but he is one of the fastest cars on track right now. Nick Sorensen, meanwhile, back on Harry's bumper. Nick Sorensen doesn't have to push it. He's already won the championship with 1 race left to go next week, but I doubt he's going to take it easy here. And don't forget next Sunday, season finale at Misano. Just under 6.5 minutes to go in race 2. These two are going to be all alone for the remainder of it, but likely to see one heck of a battle. Harry is not going to give that lead up easily. Roman Berg still holding on to third, but Rudolph is closing in. Now just over 1.5 seconds behind. Rudolph continues to close in. Simon not far behind either. Nick Sorensen just haunting the back bumper of Harry Volsmere for the lead. And this could be his opportunity. He's got Harry slipstream. Harry protecting the inside into the chicane. This is definitely going to be tough to set up and make the move. Roman Berg has been able to extend his gap to about 1.8 seconds. Whoa! Rudolph really pushing it. That Porsche definitely has the advantage through the turns and no longer has that big disadvantage on the straights. He's still got time to reel him in. Meanwhile, Nick just unable to find an opportunity. Harry definitely watching his mirror, not leaving anything open. Nick's gonna have to try something gutsy to make it work. He's got the inside through the kink. It's a drag race to the chicane. Harry holds on to it. Whoa! Harry's around out of the chicane. Now the question is, was there contact? Looking down from the chopper, I don't think they touched. Nope, Harry gets on the power too hard. Nick slips by. And Sorensen out front by almost 3 seconds with less than 2 minutes to go. Rudolph Gunther has also had a problem, slipped back into 5th, and Simon up to 4th. Roman safely now in 3rd. Nick Sorensen looking at the sweep this morning. It'll be his third sweep of the season. He pulled off the first one at Sachsenring, and then a couple of weeks ago at the Bend. Of interesting note, though, the week after Sorensen pulls off a sweep consistently this season, he has had the worst race the next week. One more time around for Nick Sorensen, now with a 4 1/4 second lead over Harry. Roman sits in third, Simon in fourth, Stuart Hare in fifth, Rudolph Gunther in sixth, right on Stewart's back bumper. And Stewart hold him off for a lap and come on with the top five. Nick Sorensen continues to grow his lead, now 5 seconds over Harry. Roman Berg still holds on to third. Simon is closing in, but he is 5.7 seconds back. He's got a lot of ground to make up. As here comes Nick through the kink the final time. Out of the chicane through the final turn, Nick Sorensen will do it again. He will pull off the sweep this morning at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Harry Volsmere holds on to come home in second. And Roman Berg will pull off third. And let's talk to our top three, starting with Roman. Roman, you did it again. You held on to it.
That's right. That was the key. Just holding on to it.
A few close calls around you, but once again, you managed to avoid everything.
It was luck, yeah. I got really lucky. Battle of attrition felt like, eh?
Well, it definitely worked out in your favor, man. A heck of a run this morning. Congrats.
Thank you. Good points. Thank you.
Harry Volsmere coming home in second. Harry, you almost had it this morning, buddy. You held him off for a very long time.
Yeah, but he was coming.
He was, but I didn't know if he could get past you. Watching the two of you in your different lines, man, it was going to be really tricky for him to pull it off.
Yeah, but he always had turn one, and I know the last lap he would have sent it, I think. But yeah, I made a little mistake, so then it was easier.
Well, man, a heck of a run, a heck of a finish this morning. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And finally, our winner and new champ, Nick Sorensen. Nick, you pulled off the sweep this morning, but an interesting note, this season, you pulled off the sweep at Sachsenring, and Daytona went horribly for you the next week. You pulled off the sweep at the bend. And
I see where you're going with this.
yeah, I mean, you got the sweep, but next week's the last race. Are you wishing you hadn't swept it?
No, you got to take any wins you can get. So, yeah, it was just unfortunate. You have a good weekend and then a poor weekend after that. But no, I think we're just I'm in a really good spot here. Pretty much, I think, lock the championship up. So next week will be a fun week. Still give it my best shot, but we don't have to take any risks.
Oh, man, a great job. Another great win. A heck of a battle with Harry. And, man, sweep in the morning. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, great battle with Harry. He was driving really well. And, I was just stuck behind a couple guys at the beginning and slowly made my way up there. And unfortunately, he spun out, I think, from hitting the curb. So I was looking forward to a good battle at the end.
Well,
So, but good job.
You were definitely making push it to the limit there at the end.
Yeah.
Great job,
So,
buddy.
good
Congrats.
weekend. Thanks, Doug.
Nick Sorensen comes out on top, sweeps both races, wins the championship. And folks, we ain't done yet. We're headed to Watkins Glen, New York, as Home Motorsports has their GT3 season finale. Stick around, everybody.